Alright, well, welcome back everybody to everyone's favorite shiny-headed YouTube channel. I'm just going to jump right into it because honestly I'm getting pissed off. You see, RX-7, we're doing a MIATA swap to my RX-7. It's going to be awesome. I want the wiring to be just as awesome, so I want factory things to work like the pop-ups and blinkers and things like that. And if you try to find any like harnesses online or like diagrams or videos, there's like hardly anything. And if there is anything, for dum-dums like me, I don't understand what it's trying to tell me. So I have a rough idea on how to do wiring and things like that. So I've started to strip this harness back, and my goal is to figure out the RX-7 harness like accessory wise for everyone to hopefully help someone else that has an RX-7 that's trying to do an engine swap, because let's face it, the rotaries blow up. Even though they're beautiful engines, they blow up. You put something else in there, not a V8. Please don't put a V8. But anyways, you probably want to do the same thing I'm trying to do. So I'm going to figure it out for us and try to document it as we go. So let's get into it. Let's start figuring this thing out. As we're going through this harness, don't expect like super technical and you know, high-end kind of quality stuff. I'm not going over it needs to be this resistance and that voltage. I'm going over this as simple as I can for someone that's as dumb as me to understand. And that should be an insult. I'm kidding, that was rude. Charlotte, was that rude? I feel like that was rude.
You're dumb?
Yeah, but I'm like calling someone else dumb. Anyways, so I'm going to try to show each connector and each bunch as we go along, just so if someone is playing with this same harness out of an RX-7, you can look at it and be like, oh, that's what that is. Okay, all right, so let's get into it from what we have so far. Simplify things. So this is, don't worry about all this. This is the front section of the harness. So the main things that you're going to be looking for, we'll start off with this right here. So this weird bundle, right? You see this thing in the car, you're like, what in the hell is that? That's going to be the relays for your pop-ups and resistor. Resistor and relay right here for your pop-ups, okay? You're gonna have this connector here, this gray connector, 2-pin. It's also gonna be in that front section of the harness. That's gonna be your fog light. This guy, it is pretty self-explanatory, you can plug stuff, but just in case. This weird 4-pin connector, circle connector, that's going to your pop-up motor. You're gonna run over to this wire. Now this one's gonna be weird because you're gonna see this on both sides of the harness and wondering why does it have the same thing? So you do have the option to have 2 separate bottles for your wiper sprayer, so you can do it on both sides. This is cool because in my case, because I'm gonna be boosting the motor, we have the opportunity, we can rig up a bottle to spray like on the intercooler, which would be cool. Then moving down, you're gonna find this weird thing, this 2-pin connector, black and red. That's gonna be your side marker light. And then going down, again, it's probably self-explanatory, but this weird 3-pin connector, that's actually for your headlight itself. That's what you're gonna be looking for. The black, those colors there, that's for your headlight. Okay? That's just for this side. We're just being real simple. It's gonna mimic the exact same thing on the other side, but it's a little different. The other side, all the same connectors, however, we're gonna start having like a bunch like this, and we're gonna figure out what this is. We're gonna chase it all the way back to this harness, go to the main relay box and the fuse box, and from there, that's going to tell us what those do. And that's the whole point of why I'm tearing this all apart, to chase each wire down and see what they are, what they're for. So I'm going to help anyone, hopefully, that gets stuck. And I know we're all probably going to be stuck on these, wondering what the hell these are. So let's figure out what these are. Again, these are just mimicking those same plugs I just showed you. For the wiper, for your headlights, all of that's going to be the same. Don't sweat it. Okay. Sorry if you can hear some weird music in the background. The neighbors are being a little ridiculous with their, what is it? Look at Audi?
Say that the Mercedes or a Jetta?
Yeah, Mercedes or a Jetta, and they think they have the hottest sound system, and they always bump right behind the garage for like an hour and just sit in their cars. Ridiculous. Anyways, so where we left off, you know, we're trying to figure out what each wire does. Like I said, we have some weird bundles that we keep running into as we follow this. So what we have found so far in this bundle of mess that we don't know what it is I've been going through, chasing all the wires through all this mess, and I'm looking back at, the fuse box and the main fuse box here for the engine and chasing them. And so far what I'm finding is that these guys right here, these are going to be mostly for like the airbags for the most part. There's a few other goodies in there, but we don't need them. Remember, we're dumbing this all down because we want just an accessory harness that works, and then we want to be able to tie in a MIATA harness into the RX-7 harness. Granted, if you're doing a different engine swap, this is pretty much going to all be the same thing. Doesn't matter what kind of car it is. So anyways, this guy right here, right? This is gonna be your main box you find in your engine bay. It's gonna have all your main fuses for like the computer, your fuel pump, all that good stuff. So what I have done and found so far with this plug right here that plugs in down in here, right here, that powers for our fuel pump and our computer. Now there's a few goofy things with that, right? There's a few different wires. Well, the power also on this goes to a lot of the airbag components. Same with the fuel relay. It kind of splits off, tees off into different areas. The good news here, we're not worried about airbags. We're building a race car. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna snip this section off and leave a little bit hanging, so I have some exposed wire to work with, and just plug it back in here. Why? Because when we get to our other harness, we're gonna use this so it's still factory and where it's supposed to be in the car, and that way, we can simplify things, easy to work on. You always wanna make stuff where you can work on it, you don't wanna overcomplicate things. So I'm gonna cut those wires and plug that back in, and that's already labeled for us, so we know when we go to the new harness that, hey, we need to tie in right there for the engine ECU and the fuel injection. These two right here. Once we do that, we can get rid of these from the harness. We know those are done, we know what they do and what they are for. You're gonna find this kind of thing on really any harness you look at. So it's really just kind of narrowing down, looking at, and tracing your wires. But hopefully this is a nice dumbed down idea of how to do this without getting stressed out over all of these wires. And let me tell you, there's a handful, there's thousands. It gets simpler. As we start pulling stuff out of this harness, you're gonna see it getting smaller and smaller, and you're gonna make a lot more sense of what's actually going on. And then you'll feel better about it, I promise. So anyways, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cut this off, pull these out of the harness, and then continue on from there. Making some strides, we're getting there. One thing that I found that's really cool in the RX-7 harness is this like little bus thing. It's actually just a bus for power. So you can run separate leads for power, which I thought was really cool. And I'm going to cut these off and save a lot of them because they will make great use in future projects. But I want to explain something really quick, okay? This is gonna make wiring your car real easy to understand when you're trying to figure out how to do things. All right, so let me show you something here. So this guy here, right, your fuse box, okay? And then you have all this nonsense. Makes you want to puke spaghetti everywhere, right? Think about it this way. Everyone has a TV, right? Television. Everyone has their Xbox, their Switch, what have you. Your television, right? Everyone knows how to plug a power cord into your TV. Simple. Plug it into the TV. Everyone knows how to connect their Xbox to the TV. Take your HDMI cable, plug it into the TV, right? It's not very different on cars. See, this fuse box is actually your TV, believe it or not, okay? And then all these other wires, it's gonna be your Xbox, your Switch, your, I don't know, your other game stations, your PlayStation 2, your GameCube, I'm old. Anyways, and right here, that's all your Xboxes, your PlayStations, your Switches, the new Switch 2 down here. That's what these all are, right? Just imagine that. Now, with that being said, you know how to plug your Switch into the TV. You know how to plug a power cord into the TV or your PlayStation into the TV. You just take the HDMI cord, plug it in, right? With cars, if everything just had one cable, it'd be really easy to just plug them in and no big deal. No one would get terrified of wiring, right? It's the same thing. That fuse box, like I said, is your TV. Now your wipers, right? Your headlights, your taillights. Those are your PlayStations, those are your Xboxes, your Nintendo Switches. That's what those are. So all you're doing is plugging your PlayStation into the fuse box, aka the TV. You find that wire, you chase it, that's where it goes. Tells you on the little thing here, right? It takes a certain fuse. That's where that wire is gonna go. Well, now that you have your PlayStation and your Xbox and your Switch and what have you plugged into your TV, well, guess what? Now they need power, right? Your PlayStation needs power, the Xbox needs power. So it's simple. You plug the PlayStation into the TV, aka you plug your, say, headlights into the fuse box, aka TV. That's done. Now it needs power, okay? So you're gonna find that cord and you're gonna plug that into something as well, right? Usually everything follows together, has its little power source, like right here, like this guy. This has 4 different wires on it. These are all power wires, okay? So you just find those two. You make it talk to the TV, and then you find where the power goes. You plug that into the Xbox, okay? Simple, easy peasy. We're almost done. Now we know how to plug our headlights into the TV, okay? Now wait for it. The remote, right? Yeah, turn on the Xbox. Now, if you have a PlayStation 2, you know, your controller goes, you know, actually plugs into the PlayStation, right? Well, it's the same thing with like your headlights and your wipers, what have you. You press a button or flip a switch or whatever to turn them on. So you follow that wire, which guess what? It's going to tie in together. All these wires are going to somehow find each other, and you're going to find those in the harness. Right here, on this connector, all these wires, they follow each other into the fuse box and over to the main relay box and then out to the headlights or what have you. The only difference with this connector here, that's your PlayStation 2 controller, okay? This plugs into the cluster. Well, the cluster surround on a RX-7. It has all your switches for your headlights and everything. You plug that in, and now it's on a switch. So you tap it, your headlights turn on. So all you're doing, if you really think about it, is you're just plugging your Xbox into the TV, plugging your Xbox into the wall for power, plugging your TV into the wall for power, picking up your controller, and turning it on and off. That's all this really is, and all it takes is just finding where those wires are and where they go. It's not as dramatic as it seems. It looks dramatic, and yes, it is very stressful. If you don't like wires, I don't like wires. It's a pain in the ass. It takes forever to do. But if you take the time to think about it, just think about it like you're plugging in your TV, your Xbox, your PlayStations, all that. That's all that we're doing here. It's as simple as that. If you think about it that way, it'll be way less daunting and scary to figure out your wiring. So, we figured out a lot so far, and we're starting to cut some stuff out. But I wanted to tell you that quick little story to hopefully make the gears start turning a little bit. All right, so it's been like, how long has it been since I picked up the camera? Like a month?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's been a month since that last clip. Sorry, life got in the way. And I also took time to go through this entire harness to make sense of what's going on. However, like I said, I think I tried to explain, like, you just chase wires, see where they go, what that's supposed to do, and then it's supposed to work. And yeah, that's pretty much what we've been doing. So the good news is I have figured out the harness and the main fuse box. So I found where the power goes for like the ECU and things like that. So now when we go to do the MIATA engine harness in here with the MIATA engine, we should be able to tie it into the factory harness, kind of, and keep it kind of stock OEM plus, which is fantastic. And so I'm going to prove to you, I know it looks like a bit of a mess in here, but I'm going to try to prove to you right now that we do have things working. It doesn't look like it should work, but just to prove that we are getting power, I'm going to show you. Put that right there. Oh, don't worry about safety, guys. Put that on there. Stay. And then show you guys in here. Flip that guy on. We get power to the dash thingy, the hash slinging, that, you know what I'm talking about. And if you just see him there, we got power, and it is successfully coming up through all this. So I know this looks like a nightmare, and it really is. So you got the main fuse, not the main fuse box, we have the interior fuse box and some relays and things like that for turn signals and whatnot. But it really was all just going through, chasing each wire, seeing where they go. I forgot that I got a new camera and I can actually point the camera at me. And it should, at the end, work. You just gotta take your time with it, chase each wire, test each wire as well. Don't just go willy-nilly in there, because I did that at the very beginning, thinking I was smart, and I popped a fuse, the 80 amp fuse at that. So that's pretty impressive to pop. But yeah, we have power to the wiring harness, which is huge news. And the video should be coming a lot faster now. Just had to take care of some life stuff. And hey, my ears, started stretching my ears. They're getting a little bit bigger, and I've got some hair on my head now too, which is wild to say. So videos are gonna keep coming faster. And if you take a look over here, there's our MIATA engine. Bada bing, bada boom. And that's getting ready to get slapped into the RX-7, which is killer. And then if you notice over here, you see a certain someone doing a certain something. Charlotte, what you got going on with the S12?
Garbage, crap, and stuff.
What's this that you have here?
Garbage, crap, and
God
stuff.
damn it. Shiloh picked up an R32 bumper, which is killer. He traded an RC car for it, and we're gonna make it work on his S12, and it should be really cool and special and unique. I also did get a set of Turbo 2 mirrors. This is a Turbo 2 chassis, but these are S4 mirrors. I also got a set of S5 mirrors, and they actually fit on the S12, so Shiloh's gonna run the S5 Turbo 2 Aero mirrors. So he's gonna have a 1UZ. Oh, by the way, this is a whole nother 1UZ that we picked up while we were gone too. He's gonna have a 1UZ Toyota engine in his S12 Nissan with a GTR R32 bumper and Mazda RX-7 Turbo 2 mirrors. Yeah, progress is being made. Shiloh also did start picking up a lot of the things we need for adapting the KA trans to the 1UZ. He has the adapter plate already, and then he's got motor mounts on the way. Yeah, motor mounts on the way, so that's gonna be coming really soon too. So make sure you guys stay tuned, because we're doing cool stuff and things. And if you haven't subscribed already, boy howdy, they should subscribe, should they?
Boy, howdy.
Yeah. Yeah, subscribe, like, and stuff, and comment, and roast us in the comments. Tell us we're idiots, because I'm putting a MIATA engine on a RX-7. He's putting a Japanese LS into a tin can.
Leave my tin can out of this.
We're doing some trashy things here, guys. See you next time. Didn't I have an outro?